Hey everyone, welcome back. Ever think about a career in the courtroom? And I don't mean as the lawyer, but as the court bailiff.
It's a career path that's, well, honestly, more important than most people think.
That's what we're diving into today, the role of a court bailiff. We got a ton of resources sent in from RoleCatcher on this one, their whole career guide, interview tips, all of it.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to unpack all this because it's a role that often gets overlooked, but it's essential to the justice system working the way it should.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. RoleCatcher calls bailiffs, and this is a direct quote, the backbone of the courtroom. And honestly, after going through this stuff, I get it. I mean, we see courtrooms on TV and in movies all the time, and you see the bailiffs, like, right. But you just think, oh, they keep order. But then you dig deeper, and it's like, whoa. Transporting offenders, investigating potential threats, being that constant presence in a sometimes unpredictable environment.
And that's just scratching the surface. Think about the responsibility of, say, escorting someone who could be dangerous through a crowded courthouse, or even having to discreetly investigate a potential threat during a high-profile trial.
Yeah. You're like a bodyguard, a detective, and a diplomat all in one, and you have to stay calm and collected through all of it.
Exactly. You need a unique blend of authority, vigilance, but also discretion. It's about creating that environment where justice can happen fairly and, well, without things getting out of hand.
Right, because it's not just about reacting to what's happening, it's about preventing it. Like, you're responsible for everyone's safety in the courtroom, the judge, the jury, the lawyers, even the people there to watch the trial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every single thing the bailiff does, swearing in witnesses, reading the charges, keeping things calm during emotional testimony, it's all part of ensuring due process. It's a lot more than just keeping order, like we said. And you know what? That level of responsibility takes real training, real expertise.
Yeah.
And that's something this RoleCatcher guys really dives into, is that it's not just some, dead-end job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they actually lay out a career path for you.
Yeah.
Like you start as a trainee and then work your way up to a senior bailiff. But each step needs different skills and knowledge.
Huh. That's really cool. So you can really make a whole career out of this. And you know what else caught my eye from this guide? They had a whole section about how technology is changing how people even get hired in the first place, specifically AI.
Oh, interesting.
Right. They talk about using RoleCatcher's tools to make your resume stand out. They actually use the phrase speak AI, which I thought was kind of funny. But basically, it's all about how you present your skills to these algorithms that a lot of companies are using now, which makes sense, I guess.
It does. That really reflects what's happening in the job market as a whole these days. Like, yeah, you need the right qualifications, but you got to know how to make sure those qualifications are seen, Especially for a job like this that probably has a lot of competition.
Totally. So it's not just about listing a bunch of keywords anymore then.
It's way more nuanced than that. It's almost like you have to translate your skills into something the algorithms understand. Like, what are the core things a bailiff needs? Good communication, right?
Yeah.
Being able to stay calm under pressure, having an eye for detail. And then you have to make sure your resume actually gives real-life examples of how you embody those things.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, anyone can say they're a good communicator, but did you ever use those communication skills to, like, de-escalate a conflict? Or had to explain some complex legal thing to someone who's really upset in a way they could actually understand?
Oh, I get it. It's like, yeah, show, don't tell, but for your resume.
Exactly. Because
Wow.
you have to make it stand out somehow. And, even if it's a bot scanning those resumes at first, you got to catch its attention.
For sure. Okay, that makes sense. So let's say you do catch their attention, get past that hurdle, then comes the actual interview.
The interview.
Does RoleCatcher have anything for that?
Oh, they totally do. They actually give you all these sample interview questions, and some of them really get you thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like one is, how would you handle a challenging situation in the courtroom? Like, how do you even answer that? Or another one was about making sure everyone is treated fairly, even when things are really heated.
Oh, wow. Those are tough. You can't just give some generic answer, can you?
Definitely not. Because what they're looking for is how you think on your feet. Your judgment, your ability to make good decisions under pressure, that commitment to justice. It's a big deal, really, because how a bailiff acts can seriously impact what happens to people in that courtroom.
It really makes you think about it in a whole new way. Like, yeah, you're keeping things safe and orderly, but it's more than that. It's almost like you're upholding the integrity of the whole system.
It is. That's a great way to put it. It takes a special kind of person, to be that steady presence, that guardian of the process, to make sure everyone gets a fair chance at justice.
Speaking of which, One thing RoleCatcher brought up that I thought was really interesting was how technology is changing courtrooms themselves.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, they mentioned virtual hearings becoming more and more common these days.
Oh, right.
So how does that even work with a bailiff? Do you even need one if it's all happening online?
Right. That's the big question, isn't it? If more court cases go virtual, what does that mean for the bailiff's job?
Exactly.
Like, do they even need to worry about physical security anymore? Or does it become a whole different ballgame, making sure everyone is behaving themselves online?
It's like the Wild West, but instead of saloons and horses, we're talking about Zoom rooms and digital
That's
evidence.
a really good analogy. It's a whole new frontier. And who knows what challenges and opportunities will come up for court bailiffs as technology keeps advancing.
For sure. But one thing's for sure, if this is something you're thinking about as a career, you got to be ready to adapt. So for anyone listening who's seriously considering this path, what's the most important thing you want them to take away from all of this?
That's easy. Being a court bailiff, it's not just a job, it's a calling. It's about being a part of something bigger, serving your community, and believing in justice.
Wow.
It's demanding, absolutely, but for the right person, it's incredibly rewarding.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, I want to give a huge thanks to RoleCatcher for providing us with all these incredible resources, and to you, our listeners, for joining us as always. Catch you next time for another deep dive.